Oh, it's chapter 10. Just reading a little poetry for kids from Poetry Speaks to Children, which is a great collection of poems by a lot of famous poets for kids or that are appropriate for kids, right? So you might be thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do poetry with kids. That seems like a lot. So let's see if we can find one in here that kids might like and isn't that hard for little kids to understand. How about this one about dinosaurs? Everybody loves dinosaurs, right? This is by Jane Yolen. It's called Dinosaur Diets. Stegosaurus fed on ferns, the sauropods on pine. Tyrannosaurus ate them both, wherever he did dine. So he was not invited very often out to lunch because he chose upon his hosts to munch and crunch a bunch. What does that mean? Can you tell me what that poem was about? And then you can talk about that. Here's another one by Marianne Hoberman, also about dinosaurs. My sister saw a dinosaur. At least she said she saw one. I said that dinosaurs are dead. She said she saw it in her head. A dinosaur inside your head? Remarkable, my mother said. Let's talk about that one. My sister said she saw a dinosaur. Do you think she was talking about a real dinosaur? Because are there dinosaurs around anymore? No, all the dinosaurs are gone. All the real dinosaurs are gone. They went away a long time ago. She said she saw it in her head. Can you see things in your head? Can you see a picture of a dinosaur in your head? Yeah, a picture of a dinosaur, right? Do you think she saw there was a real dinosaur in her head? I don't think so. Okay, so poetry. What are the elements of poetry? How do you present a poem and creating a poem with and for young children? Poetry is great because it builds listening skills, you know, those rhythmic words. You listen for the next word that's going to rhyme, right? It builds vocabulary because there are words in poems that you might not have heard before. They're easy for children to learn because of that rhyming stuff, right? I wonder if there's a short one in here that you could teach a child. I saw one, but anyway, kids can learn to recite poetry, right? And then, like this book, when you're teaching them, you're exposing them to classic literature and contemporary literature. So some of the poems in this book are very old, and some are very new. Here's one that's by William Shakespeare that kids might be interested in just because of the way the words sound. It's from Macbeth. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble, fillet of a fenny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake, eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog, adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and howlet's wing, for a charm and powerful trouble, like the hell broth boil and bubble, double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Now, there's a lot of words in there that you can talk about, right? So, what's a cauldron? A cauldron is a big pot that witches put things in to make a spell. And then they make a list of all the things that they are putting into their pot. The eye of a newt. A newt is like a lizard. The toe of a frog. Frog toe can't be very big, can it? A lizard's leg, right? So all those things are going into this spell. Okay. Stimulates children's imaginations. When I was reading that, when I was talking about that, could you think about that stuff? And were you thinking about how it might look? Builds self-worth and self-confidence. If you can learn and recite a poem, that's a great accomplishment, right? Promotes success in reading and spelling ability. And trains children to hear and experience the pleasure of hearing sounds, right? Because it's all about Poetry is all about how the words sound together. Poetry has form and order. Not all poetry has form and order, but the poetry that you're going to work with young children on generally has kind of generally an A-B rhyme scheme. Diction, you need to enunciate the words to so that people understand it and know what you're saying. And it's got couplets and verses. You know how poetry works. So how are you going to use poetry? You're going to use it to expose them to old and new things, hearing sounds. It's funny. There's a lot of funny poetry. A lot of Shel Silverstein is funny. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out, right? Increasing of vocabulary, exposure to rhythm, etc. Nursery rhymes, right? Nursery rhymes are generally folk sayings with rhyming words for very young children. So where's my nursery rhymes book? Here's another one. And nursery rhymes are ones that you probably know off the top of your head. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. So you can say that, and you can say that in ways that are exciting and interesting and get people's, attention. All right. Alliteration is the repetition of beginning consonant sounds like bubbles, Davy dumpling, things like that. Children's literature is generally loaded with rhyming words and names. Assonance is vowel sound, repetition of identical or similar vowel sounds. I just saw one that had similar vowel sounds in here. Don't know where it went, but I don't know. And then figurative language is language enhanced by words. Okay, a poem should be read smoothly. A child should not be singled out or asked to recite without volunteering. That's the thing. Always make sure that kids are comfortable. Some kids are going to want to read or speak or talk, whatever, all the time. Some kids never want to do it. So don't ever force a child to do that kind of thing. If it doesn't make them feel comfortable, they shouldn't be made to do it. When you are working with a child who's writing a poem, and 3 and 4-year-olds can write a poem, the cat sat on the mat, he wore a hat is a poem. You don't change the words. If they say the cat sat on a carpet, he wore a hat, he might be thinking of the word mat, but that's the word that he thinks of. And so that's the word you put in there. Okay. And display it, have them write poems and put them up on the walls, make them draw a picture and write a poem about it. Have a poem of the day or week. Have a poem of the week. That's fantastic. You can have, let's see if there's a February poem in here, or a Monday poem, or, all kinds of poetry. Invite children, have flannel boards, find your poem of the week and then find some pictures that go with it. Let's say your poem of the week is Hickledy Pickledy Pop. The dog is eating the mop. The pig's in a hurry. The cat's in a flurry. Hickledy Pickledy Pop. Take the pictures, cut out pictures, or make a color copy and make a flannel board out of it. How about this one? A frog and a flea and a kangaroo once jumped for a prize in a pot of glue. The kangaroo stuck and so did the flea, and the frog limped home with a fractured knee. You can make that work. Invite the children to help you think of rhyming words to go with cutout magazine pictures, right? Cut out a bunch of pictures from magazines and think of rhyming words that go with them. Types of poetry: lyric, descriptive, narrative, limerick, free verse, and nonsense. Poetry elements are similes, compare things that are unlike. Metaphor is a figure of speech that's a comparison. It's implied Similes and metaphors are very similar. Personification is giving human characteristics and emotions to inanimate objects and animals. That one that I just read about the frog limped home, with a broken whatever, with a fractured knee. Okay. Poetry books can be found in many places. These are two great books for little kids. Read aloud rhymes for the very young, and Poetry Speaks to Children. So Jack Prelutsky is a fantastic children's poet, but you can find them anywhere. Your best source for everything is to go to your public library and ask your public librarians. Select poetry that reflects cultural diversity. So find poems that are about, things that happen in other cultures. Find books that show children of other cultures, right? Okay, so that's poetry. Do a poem of the week every week. Do it. Let's see. Oh, that's December. I was trying to find one that we could do for spring or let's see. This one's fun. This would be good to make a flannel board out of, and this could be your poem of the week. And then by the end of the week, if you had 3 and 4-year-olds, they might be able to recite it with you. Slippery Sam bought a broom, ate an apple, and went to the moon, swept it clean, painted it red, came back to earth, and went to bed. Right? Just in group time. What's our poem today? Here it is. Okay.